Hello and welcome to the Federal. Today is World Book Day and we have renowned author Meena Kandasamy. So let's begin with talking about your recent book, Tirukural, the Book of Desire. So, ma'am, why did you particularly choose this aspect of the Tirukural?
So I loved this book when I was young and growing up in Tamil Nadu. Like a lot of young Tamil people, I was learning it by heart, in the Tamil original. And in order to understand what is there in the Quran, I was reading a lot of the translations. And even when I was very young, I could realize that the translation of the Kamatipal or the Book of Love was not matching with the Tamil, I realized that a lot of the translators were men or they were religious people and they had censored the book. So when I got the chance to translate, thought, okay, this is where I'm going to come in and I'm going to translate it in such a way that the voice of the women talking about desire stands out. So I selected this part. I also think that of the three parts is the Tirukkural. The first is a lot about spirituality, and the second is a lot about politics, materialism. And I think the first part and second part are not for everybody, whereas love is so universal, it is for everyone. You don't really, I mean, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, and also if you're a perfectionist, it's going to be like just going to completely consume you in the process. I think there's a fundamental difference between fiction and non-fiction, at least for me. When I don't do short form fiction, I only do long. So when I do fiction, I need to have like 2 or 3 months together. I need a lot of time to do fiction. Whereas when I'm doing non-fiction, which is primarily smaller essays or op-eds or things like that, or some kind of ground reportage, it takes me less time. So I generally think that it's not a question of difficulty as much as it's a question of time. If I can find time easily, then I love fiction. But mostly, I'm a mother of small children. So I think nonfiction is easier for me because I managed to find that kind of time to write it.
Given the current social political climate today, how do you perceive free speech, especially under Modi's government?
I think this is quite an interesting thing we have to talk on World Book Day because there is a huge pushback against writers. There's a huge amount of, you saw what happens to writers like Varavara Rao. He was jailed under the UAPA in the Bhima Koregaon case. Either cases are filed or, like what happened to Perumal Murugan, for instance, they managed to make him say that, he's withdrawing his work. So there's a lot of bullying, and they use either legal means or they use online trolling, or they use the legal machinery, whatever comes to them, or the state apparatus to kind of silence writers who say things they don't want to say. And on the one hand, writers are targeted. On the other hand, journalists are also targeted. So I think free speech is India is ranking around less than 160 or something, after 160 or something in the World Press Freedom Index. So we are literally ranking very low. So I don't think we have a lot of freedom of speech. And I always also think that what is more dangerous than just the government clamping down on writers and free speech is that after a point, when you see fellow writers have cases on them, when you see fellow writers go to jail, you also censor yourself. You say less, you speak less, you write less, and you express yourself less. So I think that it has a very bad ripple effect.
Right. Ma'am, I believe that any good writer is a reader first. So, in
Mhm.
that aspect, which female writer has inspired you or influenced you the most?
Oh, yes, nice question. Thank you. So I think the women writer who really influenced me a lot in my teenage is Kamala Das. Because when I read her poems, I was like, wow, this is what it means to be women feeling desire. This is what it feels to be women in love and all of those things. So I love Kamala Das a lot. And then I think my second favorite, most favorite women writer is Arundhati Roy, of course. The other writers I like are, of course, poets like Sylvia Plath and Anne Sexton, who are very feminist. And so, yeah, I do like a lot of women who write both fiction, non-fiction. I like Margaret Atwood. I like Bernardine Evaristo. And in India, I like Anita Nair, I like Shobhadi, I like Rishani Doshi. I like a lot of women who write. So, yeah.
Today being World Book Day, how can I not ask you this question? Suggest one book for the aspiring writers and readers.
It's very important for me to learn where my politics comes from. The good writing. How do you write a beautiful sentence? How do you write a paragraph that is very convincing? How do you learn to edit yourself? These are skills that you learn over time. These are skills that you can learn. But your politics is something that you really have to educate yourself and learn. So if I will ask people to read Dr. Ambedkar, I'll ask them to read The Annihilation of Caste, because it's something that goes to the basic underlying problems of society. It teaches you what is wrong in our country, what's wrong in our society. And I think a writer who gets their politics right, the writing will always follow. The sentence, the language, all of that will follow. I think at the core of good writing is good politics. So you should either read Ambedkar, or you should read Periyar, or you should read Lenin, or at least I read all of them. So.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.